In this video, we are going to revise some questions from section A of 2017 paper 2 biology for external. Here we have the first question, complete table 1.0 showing parts of a microscope and their functions. So here we have been given a table that has two columns. The first column shows the parts of a microscope and the second column shows the functions corresponding to each part of a microscope. Now we can begin by finding the answer for Roman number 1. So here we are trying to find a part that collects and reflects light onto specimen on the stage. So this part is the mirror. So we have the mirror here. Then the second one, we are trying to find the function of diaphragm. So diaphragm controls the amount of light shining through the specimen so that it can be seen clearly. Okay, now we can move on to Roman number 3. Here we are trying to find the part that magnifies the image further. So this is known as objective lens. Then the fourth question, stage. We are trying to find a function of the stage. So this is just a platform on which the microscope slide is mounted. Now the question 5 here, we are trying to find the part that brings the image into sharp focus, especially when the specimen is being viewed at high magnification. So this is the fine adjustment knob. Okay, now let's move on to question B. State 3 parts of a plant cell which can easily be seen under a light microscope. So we have the cell, then also cell membrane, then and nucleus. Okay, now let's move on to question 2. So question 2, figure 2.1 and 2.2 shows two endocrine glands labeled P and Q respectively. So we have two figures here. The first one, here we can see we have a kidney, and on top of the kidney we have gland P. Then we also have this figure 2.2 where we have the ileum and a leaf-like structure that has gland Q. Now the first question, question A, Roman numeral number 1, identify the endocrine glands P and Q. So the gland that is located above the kidney is known as adrenal gland. Then for gland Q, here we have the pancreas. So whenever you see a leaf-like structure, we have what we call a pancreas. Now, Roman number 2 states one hormone produced by each gland. So, hormone produced by gland P. Gland P produces adrenaline. Then for gland Q produces two hormones, which are, we have the insulin or glucagon. Then explain how the hormone produced by gland P, stated in A2 above, plays a role in coordination. So this hormone of adrenaline, when it is produced, the heart rate increases in order for NH and the flow of blood to also increase, especially for the brain and the muscles. So here we can just say adrenaline makes the heartbeat faster, and the lungs breathe more efficient. And the reason behind why the heartbeat and the breathing in terms of the lung becomes at a faster speed, it is in order for energy to be transported to all parts of the body. So this hormone is produced in cases where someone is very afraid or very happy. Then explain the other role played by gland Q apart from producing hormone. So this gland Q, pancreas, produces pancreatic juice. So you can say gland Q produces pancreatic juice, which contains enzymes that assist digestion in the small intestines. So that is what it does. So let's now move on to question 3. So question 3, figure 3.0 shows the muscles in a bent limb in a grasshopper. The first question here, identify muscle R and S. So the one above, this is extensor. Then this one is flexor. So the best way you can be remembering these muscles, just look at the alphabetical. So E comes before F. So the one on top is extensor, then the one below is flexor muscle. Then in order to straighten the limb, what happens to muscle R and S? So we are trying to, let's have a picture. If this limb were to be straight, so what do you think happens to muscle R and also muscle S? So muscle R will contract. So will contract. Then for S will relax. So one muscle contract, the other one will relax. And C, state the term used to refer to the action of muscle R and S. So this action where one muscle contract and the other muscle relax is known as antagonistic action. Then identify the type of skeleton shown in figure 3.1. So since we are dealing with a grasshopper, and a grasshopper is an insect, or insect consists of the skeleton known as exoskeleton. So this is just the type of a skeleton that occurs on the outside of the body of an organism. Then state three functions of the skeleton in figure 3.0. So we are trying to give the three functions of an exoskeleton. So here we can say for locomotion, we are looking at the movement of an animal from one position to another position. Then number two, to protect. Internal soft organs. Then also to prevent an organism from drying out. Or we can just say it reduces the organism from losing too much water. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to question 4. Question 4 here, figure 4.0 shows the processes involved in using a dialysis machine by a patient suffering from kidney failure. So a kidney failure is just a condition when the kidney stops to operate the way it should operate. So here we have a kidney machine, and a kidney machine is just a machine that can assist someone with kidney failure to survive for some times. Now here we have the first question, question A, Roman number 1. Which of the labeled V, U and T is a dialysis machine? So our dialysis machine, this is our dialysis machine, so that is our U. Then which labeled parts V, U or T removes gas bubbles to prevent air loss? So here the answer is V. Then suggest two reasons why both tubes to and from the dialysis machine are connected to the vein and not the artery. So whenever they are trying to connect this machine to a patient, it is always connected to a vein, and we are trying to find the reasons why it is connected to a vein instead of an artery. So number 1, veins carry blood at low pressure, and this helps the dialysis machine to remove all the unwanted material that you are trying to get rid of. So we can say veins carry blood at low pressure, and this increases diffusion. So diffusion of unwanted materials. So that is the advantage of blood flowing at low pressure. So there will be that high increase in a diffusion rate. Then the second one, we can say veins are located on the surface So veins are located on the surface of the body, and hence it's now easy for a surgeon to locate these and connect them to a dialysis machine. Now let's move on. Let's look at before we move on, maybe if we find some, you may have a question whereby apart from a dialysis machine, how can we help someone with a kidney failure to survive? So there is also what we call the kidney transplant. Then also apart from kidney transplant, maybe questions that you may find are the disadvantages of using a kidney machine. So the disadvantages are it's expensive compared to the normal living. It is expensive, then also time consuming. It takes time. Okay, now let's move on. Let's look at question 5, the last one. So question 5, a pure breeding black bull was crossed with a pure breeding red cow. All the resulting offspring were black. So a pure, it means this was homozygous. So we have a homozygous black bull and another homozygous red cow. So the two were homozygous, but the offsprings were black. So for red, so in terms of the red color, this one was recessive to black. Black was dominant. That's why it dominated in the offspring. So the first question A, using letter B, capital letter B or small letter b for alleles, which allele was dominant for this skin? So which allele was dominant for, so the allele that was dominant is, we are going to have capital letter B. So capital letter and a capital letter under genetics denotes a dominant allele for a certain characteristic. Then Roman number 2, what was the genotype for the parent black bull? So this was pure. Whenever you have a pure, you need to have the same letters. If it's capital letters, those two capital letters must be the same. If they are small letters, you need to have the small letters. So what we are saying is we are going to have these two capital letters. So this is the genotype for the parent black bull. Then using a genetic diagram, show the resulting offspring if the offspring black bull was crossed with the parent red cow. So let's have black bull here, and a red cow. Now for a black bull, we are told it is an offspring. So the offspring, we are going to have one must be the capital letter, then the other one must be the small letter. Then for the parent red cow, we are told, or we are given a condition that it was pure. So whenever we have a pure is same as homozygous. So since this was pure or homozygous, we are going to have small letter B. And the reason why we are using small letter B, because the red color did not show in the first generation of the offspring. So these are known as the genotype of P1, first parental generation. Then we can separate these. So immediately after we separate, they become now gametes. of P1. Then we can cross. So we have this heterozygous, another heterozygous. Here we have pure homozygous for red. Then also here we have. So now we have the genotype of first video generation, the generation for offspring. Now for question C, suggests what could happen to the pure breeding black bull or red cow to cause them to produce a black and white offspring. So by crossing either of the two with a pure white cow or bull. Okay, so this is how we can answer this question, and that's it for this video. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. Then also don't forget to hit the notification so that you are notified as soon as I post new videos. Don't forget to share.